Hi, Dan from DPI Fisheries here. In this video we're going to have a look at some of the basic gear you'll need to get started and fishing successfully. Now all this gear may look a bit daunting, especially if you're new to fishing, but the good news is that this is all you need to get out on the water. This gear, including your essentials like your long nose pliers with the line cutter, a glove for handling your fish, it's all readily available at your local tackle shop and you won't break the bank. In here we've got some assorted ball sinkers across the top here, some small circle hooks in varying sizes, a few small swivels and some pre-rigged soft plastic lures. Now there's a few different ways that you can rig your line. By far the simplest is with what we call a running sinker rig, where your sinker is freely running up and down your line, allowing your bait to look really natural in the water. Now you can run it straight down to your hook like this. Very basic, but it works. Your bait looks pretty good in the water and it's very easy to rig. If you want it to look even more natural, you might try this rig. This is with a swivel, still a running sinker above the swivel on your main line, but you'll tie a bit of leader material to the bottom. Your leader is just a light piece of fishing line, 3 to 6 kilograms, about 30 centimeters long, and then down to your circle hook below that. Your swivel and your sinker will sit on the bottom and your bait is free to drift around in the current. You'll get a lot of bites and you'll catch a lot of fish. Once you've tied your rig, just put a small piece of bait on your circle hook, cast out into a likely spot and wait for a fish to swim off with it. Fingers crossed. If you haven't heard of circle hooks before, stay tuned as we're working on a quick video showing how these innovative fish-friendly hooks work and how you can use them to hook and land more fish. The important thing to remember with circle hooks is you need to keep the point of the hook well exposed. Don't bury it in the bait because you'll miss a lot of fish. And when you do feel a bite, make sure you don't strike. Let that fish swim off with it and it will hook itself. When it comes to bait selection, strips of mullet fillet are really hard to beat for your species like brim and flathead, and when we're in the freshwater, we can't go past a humble earthworm. When you're fishing for species like your golden perch or trout, even bass, your worms are very hard to beat. Again, go down to your local tackle shop and speak to the team down there. They'll be able to provide you with the best bait options for your local area. When it comes to lures, the pre-rigged soft plastics that we've got here obviously require no bait. You don't want to use a swivel with these either because you'll ruin the action of the lure. Just tie your monoline directly to the eye of the hook there, cast it out and either slowly wind it back in once it hits the bottom or bounce it along the bottom, and you'll be a really good chance of finding a flathead in the saltwater or a perch or a cod even in the freshwater. If you are intending on keeping any fish for a feed, you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing by those fish, which means you need to have a tool to measure your catch, okay? Most of our common species in both the fresh and saltwater do have a minimum legal length, which means they have to be a certain length before you can take them home. Measure your catch, make sure you're doing the right thing by those fish. Now, if you're uncertain of those rules, you can download the Fish Smart app on your mobile, and that way you can double check everything while you're on the water. This has just been a really quick look at the basics that you need to get started. In future videos, we'll look more in depth at things like circle hook use, knot tying, bait selection, even bait gathering. But for the time being, if you can get your hands on some of this gear here, a rod and reel or a hand line even, you can get out in the sun, enjoy some fresh air and hopefully even catch some dinner.